It is me. I am here. Hopefully everything... I'm reading right now. Hopefully everything is working properly. You can see and hear me okay. It is Friday afternoon. My brain is 300% done with this week, so this is going to be an interesting time. Trying to get a thing done. Hello, it's Wolf. How are you? What are you up to this fine day? I keep playing with the music volume. I do apologize, but AB Coffee, hello. How are you? Oh my gosh, is that a Jesse Cox emote? It is, which means I must have it as well. Finishing a project before the day ends. Yeah, I'll have to check out the new ones. Same here. This is the last thing that I need to do before my weekend starts, essentially. It's... Normally, this is something I do on Thursday afternoon. As I'm sure you guys are aware, I did a thing and now there we go. I clicked a button and then I couldn't unclick the thing. I usually do my prompts on Thursday afternoons instead of Friday, but because last week was so wonky, I switched my week around this week, and instead of doing nice chill stuff on Friday, I finished editing the 3rd chapter of the last book of Eternity's Empire this morning, so I'm halfway done with the edits for that book. I'm feeling pretty excited and confident about it, but my brain is like, why are we still working? It's Friday afternoon. Shouldn't it be time to just watch Critical Role and do chill formatting? No, brain, it's not, because we did that on Monday, so it's time instead to do a writing prompt. This is story number 8 of my 22 stories in 2022 project. Just another quick introduction to this project. I know I do these at the beginning of all of these streams, but the idea is to write 22 different stories, little shorts, based on writing prompts that I found on the internet. Not something that I usually do very often anymore, but I found all of these prompts online. Many of them were originally associated with the 31 stories in 31 days project that ran back in January. They only rules air quotes, because there's no real set rules for this. But I'm trying to write stories that will fit into the multiverse that my novels take place in, so like canon stories essentially. And 2, I'm trying to avoid my main characters. Dameron has been creeping into the background of some of these prompts, and he's gonna be mentioned in this one probably again, but he won't actually necessarily appear in this one, so... I'm fine with my main characters being in the background of these stories, but I'm trying to keep them out of the focus, work on using some perspective characters that don't appear as often on the blog, exploring some little bits and pieces of stories that probably won't otherwise get to be seen. There's no length requirement, anything like that, just seeing what happens, and I've streamed each of these. I do upload the VODs to YouTube. I guess I can show that off. I do upload these to my YouTube channel. You can see that story number 7 is there. I don't tend to upload the VODs of my weekly writing and editing sessions for my novels, just because they all contain spoilers that would be impossible to disappear into the void otherwise. But since these stories are sort of outside the main, I've kept the VODs. So you can watch all of the insanity unfold on my YouTube channel. This one will eventually go over there as well. So there's that. AB Coffee, what are you up to today? Hopefully not meetings. gonna be a little bit more clicky-clacky today than I have been in previous sessions. I'm gonna try to make my brain focus. Barely had any today? Good. You deserve days with fewer meetings. I'm gonna try to focus a bit today and not be too tangenty, but as you know, I tend to be a bit tangenty already, so it's going to be interesting to see how much my brain is like, let's do everything other than focus on writing a story. Fun times. Roaming Witch, hello, how are you? You're close to the weekend, that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. Friday afternoon is, like, even for someone who, like me, who I've kind of trained myself into the discipline of working 5 days a week, you know, most weeks of the year, it's hard on Friday afternoon to focus. And so, like I was saying earlier, I usually arrange my week so that I have something easy to do on Friday afternoons. Usually I just put Critical Role on in the background and work on book formatting or marketing stuff or something that isn't really very energy intensive. But because I wasn't feeling well over the weekend, I took that less energy intensive day on Monday, which means I really need to crack down on my brain today to get through my final task. And I'm already like, what do I want to drink tonight when the weekend starts? What am I gonna put in my fancy glass for this evening? So, that's what's happening in my brain right now. I'm working on my guitar build and working on my favorite process finally. Nice! Which is your favorite part of the process, Roaming Witch, if you would like to tell us. Kiki, hello! I'm almost done. I have day to finish for part 1 of my novel. Nice! I hope that you're sticking with it, Kiki. And I hope that once you finish the end of part 1 that you'll feel much better about it. Stealing your book title and using it as a plot device. I think we can all agree that duality is just a cool AF word and theme and everything. Yeah, for sure. I mean, true, I don't know if this is a secret, but little behind the scenes, all of the titles in the second trilogy of the Celestial Serenade, which is overall titled Song of the Spheres, all of them are musical terms. All of the chapter titles are musical terms or things that you would find on sheet music, and all 3 of the books, Duality, Unity, and Harmony, are based on types of music or ways that music is played. So duality 100% used because it's a musical term. So use away, man. And also, I'm super psyched that there's you're going to use a cheeky little reference to one of my book titles. Carving braces. Soft wood with a super sharp chisel is the best feeling. Nice! I know nothing about wood carving, but that sounds super fun. Sticking with it because I came too far. Good for you, Kiki. I know that it might not feel like... Sometimes it might not feel like it's the best choice, but it will be the best choice, I promise you. Like, you're gonna be happy in the end that you stuck with it. Because at the end of the day, like I said, you can fix anything other than a blank page. So having something to work with is so much more. And plus, you deserve to be that far in the process because you've worked hard. You've come this far. So, yeah. I feel like I was talking about something. I feel like I was talking something before I went on the tangent about my fancy glass for the evening, but I like to drink my alcohol in fancy glasses, guys. It's just more fun that way. So yeah, anyway, I guess I should drop the link to that YouTube channel in case anyone wants to actually, you know, go check out any of those VODs. You've come this far and got so far. In the end, it really mattered. Hey Squiggy! Jealous of all you. We're reading over condo documents tonight and figuring out whether we should buy this place or back out. Oh, so is this a place that is this like the third potential attempt at a purchase? Talk to us. Tell us deets. We can help you do a pros and cons. If you want to do a pros and cons. Or if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine too. I know you get to a certain point in the process where it's like, F everything. Oh, it's still the second one. I thought you guys pulled out on that one because of the condo fees. I will tell you, I don't know if this is helpful. When we bought our last house, the one before this, the seller offered to cover a lot of the extra assessment. Interesting. Because when we bought our last house, not this one, the one before this, it was a townhouse. And so here in BC, where we live, every house that has, every property that is shared property has to have some kind of strata that basically pools money in order to make sure that there are like repairs to the shared structure, that sort of thing. Like essentially the homeowners have to come together to make sure that everything that's shared between them is maintained. And so we came down to a choice between two places, one that had higher monthly fees, and one that had lower monthly fees. And when we ran the numbers, it ended up changing. Like when we ran the numbers long term, it ended up making a little bit, like it ended up evening out a bit, like the extra cost of a down payment versus the spread out cost of the fees, the higher fees, ended up working out to being like negligible, and we ended up buying a place that we initially thought we maybe couldn't afford, even though it was slightly more expensive month to month, just because it was a little bit more within our initial price range, if that makes sense. But it sounds like this isn't necessarily month to month cost. This is more, it sounds like a one-time thing, question mark. Never specifically owned a condo, but have owned a townhouse, so somewhat similar. The building has some issues, and it's a small building, so they lean pretty hard on the residents when they need to make capital improvement. But on the other hand, we love the unit, the community, and the neighborhood, and we can afford it even if they jack up the fees from time to time, as long as it doesn't get insane. Now, do they have something like that, a strata, where that's sort of like in charge of taking care of the premises? Because what we were able to do when we bought our townhouse was we could request the notes, the minutes from the meetings for up to 1 year. And what you can do if they have something like that is you can actually go through, you may have already gotten this from your realtor, but you can go through and see what they've talked about during the meetings and see if you feel like they have a plan for managing long term versus if they're just kind of letting things go to hell. If the building has some improvements that it's going to need but is well managed, it might be worth taking. I don't know if taking the risk is the best turn of phrase, but it might be more worth considering if it's obvious that the people are maintaining or trying to maintain it well, versus if it seems like they're kind of a little bit whatever on it. We sort of dealt with both. When we moved into our townhouse, the strata was very well managed. But then they kind of switched management companies, and there were some deficiencies revealed for sure, so we kind of got out of there before they ended up having to do a lot of things that they were talking about needing to do. But I mean, if the community is good and the people who are like in charge of maintaining the area are like on top of it, then I mean, older buildings or buildings that need a little TLC aren't necessarily a bad thing if people are on top of it. It's when you come into a place that's been utterly neglected and just needs everything, that's when it's kind of like, okay, no, this is a project house. Also, I know that Wolf owns a shared property as well, so he might be able to chime in on his experience. Because I know the laws are probably different where you are versus where we are. Every place is a little bit different. They're actually instituting a law here where we live, that you need to wait a certain amount of time in order, after housing prices are so insane here right now, and people are, feel like they have to rush into contracts with no conditions in order to keep a house from flying off the market, that they're actually instituting like a 2-week waiting period. So if you get an accepted offer, basically the seller or the purchaser has like 2 weeks that they have to wait before you can sign off on like and make the thing unconditional, because they're actually trying to curb like how quickly things are flying off the market here. And like our property values have just gone through the roof. I think because we get a property tax assessment every year. Usually our property value goes up by like 3%. It went up 33% this year. So like it's bonkers town where we are. And so there's a lot of people who are just going into these contracts and just paying however much, and they're not necessarily gonna get the best deal out of it. So they're trying to curb stomp that a little bit. The building needs a fair amount, but the condo board management seem on top of it. We just want to make sure we have a very clear idea of what we're getting into. Absolutely. That's when you're 100% doing exactly the right thing, and go over the paperwork, crunch the numbers, and just see what your gut feeling is, right? Like don't completely discount your gut feeling either. It's never an easy decision to buy a place. And I think, especially now, it's even harder. Hey, Autumn Queen, how are you? So I guess I should focus on less on house stuff and more on the story that we're gonna write today. The prompt for today, I wrote it in the description of in the title of the stream, but the prompt for today is a grave situation leads to hope, which I don't really like these kind of prompts, because on the surface I feel like isn't every story kind of about that? Isn't every story about a character getting into a bad situation and then discovering hope? So this just feels like a really generic prompt for me, but I've sort of come up with my own twist on it to make it interesting. Story number 8 out of 22. Yes! I'm keeping on top of them pretty well. I'm happy. Yeah, the boring ones. Is that in response to the prompt, Shagraz? Also, hey, Supernatural Writer and Shagraz, how are you? And Autumn Queen, how are you? So yeah, I decided I haven't really been. I probably make it seem like I put more planning into some of these prompts than I actually do, because I don't really like sit down and plan out so much what I want to write, except for that one time. But I kind of just poke at these ideas until something comes to me. And so the thing that kind of occurred to me to make this prompt more interesting is, instead of the heroes being the one, like instead of one of the good guys having this revelation of, this is a bad situation, here's I can turn it around. What if it was my antagonist? What if it was the bad guy who was having a rough time, and then something happened that made him think, oh yeah, actually I can turn this around. I can make this work for me. I kind of like that kind of reversal, because it adds layers to everything, and it makes it more interesting to me. And this is especially a useful exercise to me now, because I'm getting late in the planning for my Aravalia Chronicles series, and getting close to where my big bad has to make his final push. Can I turn the music down by like 70? I can't turn it down quite that much, Shagraz, because I need to be able to hear it today, but I will turn it down a bit. So let me turn it down for stream. And I will also turn it down a little bit for my ears. Tell me how that is, if that's any better. You might want it down a little bit more. That's fine. Let me know. But tell me if that's any better. Right now it's between songs, so it'll be silent for a second. The stream isn't loading. It's perfect. Well, now there's sound again, so you should be able to hear at least a little bit. Sorry to steal your hopes and dreams, Shagras. Is it better though? Is it lower than it was before? Is it better balanced? I don't know why it won't. Is anyone else having trouble with, like, am I buffering? Do I need to restart stream? Is everything psychedelic? Psychedelic? I don't know if that was the right thing to ask. Still a little loud? Alright. Oops. Accidentally turned it back up. I'm just turning my desktop audio down a bit, so let me know if that's helping. Copacetic. That's more what I was trying to ask. Look, I told you guys, it's Friday afternoon, my brain's done. Words, it doesn't give a shit. This whole exercise is going to be completely interesting because I have no idea what's going to come out of my fingers when I start typing. But yeah, so the idea that I had was essentially, instead of having one of my heroes discover something, instead of having one of my heroes discover something, have my antagonist discover something that helps his purpose. And since I'm getting close to my antagonist having to make his big push towards what he's trying to accomplish in the series right now, it'll be a good exercise for me getting a little bit more in touch with this character. Also, it's going to be an interesting exercise because this character is skeevy as fuck. I don't usually write from his perspective. I have a sort of a set... It's not a hard and fast rule, but I have a set group of characters that are perspective characters in this particular series. There's about 5 or 6 of them. So a healthy pool of people that I can draw on when I need to have, like, different perspectives. And for various reasons, the antagonist is not one of them. You never, in the series, actually see what the antagonist is up to through the antagonist's eyes. And one of the reasons for this, it's a conscious decision. I've written from my villain's perspective before. I did it in Dreamers Do Lie. One of the main reasons why I don't write from Karis's perspective in the Aravalia Chronicles is that he's a bit of a silver-tongued dude. And so he says a lot of things. I don't necessarily want it to be obvious when he's telling the truth and when he's lying. And it's much easier to have that question of doubt of how much truth is he speaking if you're never in his head, if you never directly experience his thoughts. And also there's some psychic bullshit that happens eventually in the book, which offers enough insight into his way of thinking, I think. So this will be one of the few times that I'm writing directly from his perspective. I have a pretty good grasp on this character. I know pretty much how his brain works, but it'll still be very interesting to actually dig into sort of the consciousness flow for him. I expect that it'll feel a little bit skeevy because, like I said, this guy is skeevy AF, but it'll be interesting. Team Sam or Dean. Is that from Supernatural? Because I've actually only ever seen like 2 episodes of Supernatural. So I don't know. Oh, Sam's a stick in the mud, says Shagraz. I don't remember which one is which. My lack of Supernatural knowledge is showing. I am Team 2 Cellos, though. They apparently look like the guys from Supernatural, so maybe I can pick them. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I just didn't really have cable around the time that Supernatural started. And then by the time we got cable, it was so far into the series that I just had no idea what was going on. And so I think I've seen like 2 entire episodes of that show, and just never really gotten into it. I have missed a lot of the really popular, like I've never seen a lot of the crime shows that were really popular either. I don't have Netflix. Netflix Canada is kind of garbo. So yeah, I'm sure someday I'll get around to watching it. By that time, people probably won't be talking about it anymore. But yeah, I've missed a lot of really popular TV shows just because at the time that they were popular, I was kind of living under a rock. Supernatural is a great 5-season show. I'm sensing that there are more seasons than 5, so you must have checked out after season 5, Woof. You guys can tell me literally anything about Supernatural and I'll believe you, because I don't know. I just know that it's about 2 guys, and I think there's an angel at one point? A super hot angel? Question mark? Start at season 2 or 3. So watch seasons 2, 3, 4, and 5? Is that what you're saying? Isn't there like 9 seasons of that show? Yeah, I know. So you guys could tell me literally anything about that show and I'd have to believe you. There are 15. Are there 15 seasons? Okay, that I have to Google. Is Shagraz on, like, leading me on here? It ran from 2006 to 2020. There are 15 seasons. How? That's almost impossible. I think SG1 ran for 10 seasons and they barely squeaked out the last 2 seasons from the network. I just Googled it and it said season 15, so dang. The closest I've come to watching Supernatural is I've seen Lucifer. I've seen all 6 seasons of Lucifer. What? SG1 was amazing, Shagraz. Get out. Get out. Although I did think Atlantis was really good. I won't say better. It was really good. Atlantis had Rodney McKay and Jason Momoa. I'm just putting that out there. Stargate is not bad, Shagraz. This is an attempt to distract me from doing what I'm here to do. You just want me to go on a rant about Stargate. Which is amazing, by the way. It has its bad moments, but it has its good moments too. Does anyone co-write? I'm not sure I understand the question. You mean on stream? I'm gonna start running sprints, and people are welcome to use the writing sprints. I'm gonna have a timer on. But there won't be anyone else writing on stream aside from me, if that answers the question. It's okay to like terrible things. SG1 isn't terrible, and I will never say that it's terrible. Stargate Universe was garbage. I watched a whole 1 episode of that. That was garbage. But Stargate SG1 and Stargate Atlantis were wonderful. Delectable, charming. Been wanting to write a book with someone, but it's hard to find someone. Oh, I see what you mean. It can be very hard to find a partner to co-write a book with, because Oh my gosh, I did co-write once. I wrote my original trilogy. Actually, it was written by myself and my co-author James Abendroth. Great guy. But our schedules, I think, as soon as we finished writing those books, our schedules have never lined up again. We barely get like 2 messages a year to each other anymore because we're in different time zones and our whole nothing aligns anymore. So it can be really hard to find someone whose ideas mesh with yours and whose schedule consistently meshes with yours. But I'm sure if you put it out there that you're looking for someone, you'll find someone who's looking to do the same sort of projects. Great guy, but fuck him. Who? Great. Who's a great guy, but fuck him? Which guy are you talking about, Shagraz? There's so many options. I don't think I've saved this yet, so we're gonna actually save this document so that once I put words on it, they get saved. Story 8. 22 stories in 2022. Oh, my voice is cracking. Oh, great guy, but fuck him, as in my co-author? Okay. I could never write with Megan. She thinks Stargate and Indiana Jones are good. Yeah, I do. Thanks. Yes, him. You have never met my co-author. Actually, I think you would get along with my co-author, Shagraz, because your sarcasm and his would just be... You could blow up the sun together with your level of sarcasm. Hey, Halo Banshee. That's right. Indy is good. Temple of Doom was the best one. Thank you. Also, I've been really enjoying Moon Knight on Disney Plus because, one, they're using actual Egyptian mythology, which is almost unheard of. Usually they just use the Greek versions, or they just try to like transcribe Greek mythology on top of the ancient Egyptian mythology, which is Garbo. And 2, it gives me Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom vibes, which I dig. It's actually horrid. Shagraz, you're actually horrid. Get out of here, Z-Snap. I love you, but your taste and my taste do not mesh. What was that I said about making my brain actually do things today? So we're gonna be writing from my antagonist's perspective today. I have something in mind that happens off camera. It's very nebulous in my brain, so we'll see if I can pull the threads together. Fun fact about Moon Knight, it actually brings to light dissociative identity disorder in a decent light on the big screen. I'm very interested in that as well. It's one of the things that really interests me about Moon Knight is it seems to be more about the main character's illness than it actually is about the superhero part. And from what research I've done, I, disclaimer, have never experienced dissociative identity disorder, but I have done some research on it for some future projects that I'm planning, and from what I've read, they've done a very good job of portraying it. I don't know if people with dissociative identity disorder often speak with their other identities. I haven't been able to find confirmation of that. But from what I've seen and read, it seems like probably the best depiction of dissociative identity disorder that I've seen on screen to date, and I really appreciate that. Imagine being productive, right? Maids does not involve dissociative identity disorder, but one of my future projects does involve someone with a second personality. There's magic involved, so I'm not sure how much it's going to intersect with DID, dissociative identity disorder, but I've been doing research on it anyway because I don't want to disrespect an actual, like, real life thing that people deal with. And so I try to be as aware of how how that sort of thing affects a person as possible, so that when I delve into writing that, I know that I'm in respectful territory, that I can respectfully handle my topic, my chosen topic. Dameron is Mattress Chan? No. Dameron is not Mattress Chan. There's no universe in which that would be the case. He may sleep on Mattress Chan, but he wouldn't be Mattress Chan. Halo Banshee, I didn't realize that you had DID. I might take you up on that someday, because I do have a character who ends up sort of having a second identity, partly due to magic. But like I said, I feel an enormous sense of responsibility tackling that kind of topic, and I definitely don't want to do it disrespectfully. But I have seen it's good with it, and yes, we do. Mostly not out loud, but some of us do talk to each other out loud. Interesting! Well, thank you for letting me know, because that is actually very useful to me, because my character does talk to his alternate identity. I don't know if in a novel you could get away with not having that be the case, but I don't want to do anything... I don't want to do anything that just is, like, cheesy. I want to do justice to what I'm contemplating writing. A lot of times when I decide to tackle a topic or decide to do something that parallels real life, I do a lot of research ahead of time to prepare. And this is something like one of my characters also has PTSD, so I do a lot of research on PTSD. I read a lot of journals and blogs by people who suffer from PTSD, just trying to get a sense of how I can wrap that into a character without making it seem like a gimmick, because I never want anything like that to feel like a gimmick. It has to ring true to experience. Yay! Welcome back, Supernatural Writer. I hope that Twitch cooperates with you. We'll stick you here with some duct tape. We're gonna start a sprint. I'm actually gonna take off my blanket because I'm getting a little bit hot. But yeah, my advice to any writer who wants to tackle a subject that is, from the real world, do your research. Do tons of research. Talk to people who have experiences with what you're writing about. Learn as much as you can. Hey, Bob Watkins, how are you? What are you up to? Because you don't want to just write whatever you think about something, and then it turns out that you're totally downplaying someone's real life experience. You absolutely don't want to do something like that. So I have a great appreciation for what I've seen of Moon Knight so far, because it seems like it's been really well researched. Typically, and I believe only able to be a thing with a person after a lot of mental trauma. Not always, but it is needed, sadly. Yes, from what I've read, it is always caused by trauma, usually in the youth, during youth, because it's something that the mind does to protect the victim, essentially. Doing some research on a pretty dire topic for my analysis. What topic are you looking into, Supernatural Writer? If you want to share, you don't have to. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on that clock. I've said this like 4 times now. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the 20-minute timer up to 10-year-old. That makes sense, Halo Banshee, because certain pathways in your brain are forming up to that point in time. My character has chronic nightmares. I'm happy to see he already has a number of characteristics of people who suffer from that already. Yes! I have a character who suffers from night terrors, which is something similar. It's not always nightmares. Sometimes it's just impressions and feelings. So I've done a lot of research on. Look, it's probably apparent to you by now that my characters suffer a lot of mental trauma. It's a thing that happens, but I try to do a lot of research on it because I don't want them to come off as being like... I don't want to create a caricature. I want to create like a 3-dimensional person. Person we're writing about today is the causer of more mental trauma than the experiencer of it, but we'll see. It's like 7 to 10, 11. It's hard to find exact as everyone is different in development. That's true. That's true. And I think that we're only in, like, I think that, like, research into things like dissociative identity disorder, like, we're only just now kind of really learning a lot about it because people had a lot of misconceptions about it in the past. So I think that what we know and what we don't know, there's probably a sort of a vast gulf between the two still. Researching on how to make your characters is the best kind of research. Exactly! Because the more real your character feels, the more immersive your story is going to be. I'm in my actual manuscript now that the outline is where I want it. Nice! Are you going to be writing with us today, Bob Watkins? Representation of male SA in media. Oh, this chat's moving so fast. In media, shows, books, movies. What's SA stand for? I'm blanking. My friend has sleep paralysis sometimes and he thinks spiders are all over him and he has severe arachnophobia. I've suffered from sleep paralysis. It can be very freaky. I've talked about this a little bit on stream before. I won't go too deep into it now, but I used to think that there were shadow people in the house coming to try and choke me, but it was sleep paralysis. I can expand upon that a little bit more in the break, but it was very intense. But since I've learned that I have it, I don't panic as much when I start to experience it, and I think that helps. Yes, let's do some sprints. Please feel free to keep talking in the chat, because I love it when you guys share ideas and share experiences. And 100% the best way for us to make our characters better is to talk to people who have had real life experiences with the things that we want to write about, so that we can handle them respectfully. I get tired during the sprints. It's all right, Shagraz. There's going to be clicky clacks to keep you awake, maybe, or help you sleep, one way or another. And yes, I'm glad you finished your outline as well, Bob. Hopefully, we'll be able to add some expansion to it. Sleep paralysis can be really, especially if you don't know what it is, it can be really freaky because you essentially can't move while it's happening. After Split came out, they did a lot more looking into it. I think Split did well to show how the other alters act well in front of if you remove the fantasy part. Yeah, I know that early depictions of dissociative identity disorder were very, like, flashy and almost comical, which is not how it, like, really is for someone who experiences it. And I think the best thing about Moon Knight was the way they handled the transition, right? The way the character sort of wakes up in a different place and doesn't know how he got there. And I think that really drives home, like, how disorientating and how frightening it would be to just have giant gaps in your memory. All right, 20 minutes. Let's see if I can make my brain do actual functional work here. my hair's bugging me. It's poofy today. You can tell summer is coming. I don't know, I haven't watched Moon Knight yet. I'll start tonight. Yeah, we usually wait until there's like a chunk of episodes that we can watch. So we watched the first 4 episodes in one go, and then we'll wait until the last 2 episodes come out and watch them all together. We're also sort of midway through Picard season 2 right now for the same reason. We're sort of waiting for it to finish. I'm a big binge watcher myself. Already have giant gaps in memory. Like, what did I eat for breakfast? Oh man, supernatural writer. I feel you. I can remember a whole alternative world, but what I ate yesterday, it was food. It sustained me. Leo, hello. How are you? It's your day off. Nice. I was just talking about how it's Friday afternoon and I can't wait for my day off. Greetings and felicitations. Ah, don't have Disney Plus. That's a fair reason for not having watched something that's on Disney Plus. That's like me and Netflix. It takes me a while to watch anything that's on Netflix because we don't have Netflix. I'm doing pretty good, Neo. I'm struggling to get my brain to work a bit this afternoon, this late into a Friday, but I'm doing the best I can. How's about you? I think I already asked how you are, but I'm asking again. Star Trek quote. Always love Star Trek quotes here. Ashley Robin. How are you? What is up? Also, the timer has just run out. Ran out? Run out? My brain's not all there today. 779 words for first print. Pretty good. I got off to a little bit of a herky-jerky start there. You probably saw that I went back and added a whole bunch of stuff in the middle of 2 paragraphs at one point. But I think we're off to a good start. I hate this guy that I'm writing from his perspective. He's a great character, but he's not a nice guy. His thoughts I do not jive with his thought processes. Last time we spoke, I think you had just gotten on some new medication and you said that it was helping. I think I was talking to you in Coffee Quills chat last time. It's been a while since we talked in my chat. I hope that's still the case. Fingers crossed. I hope you're still doing well. I gotta catch up. I missed a few things here. It is I, Neo. I salute you. Indeed, indeed. Felicitations, words expressing praise for an achievement or good wishes on a special occasion. I think the weekend counts as a special occasion. I'm just gonna put that out there. It's midnight and I'm not on a bus. It cannot be better. Heck yeah. Trying to write again. I have a lot of ideas for my book. Is this the first time you've written in a while, Neo? Because if it is, just ease your way back in. Go slow. Don't push too hard. Author Goddess, hey, how are you? What is up? Still doing well, but just lost my clients like yesterday. Oh no, Ashley, I'm sorry to hear that. Did something happen, or was it just kind of... I mean, you don't have to say too much if you don't. I don't want to pressure you into talking about stuff you don't want to talk about. Feel free to say as much as you are comfortable with. But also, I can't help thinking that your clients are idiots because you seem like a very awesome person. Haven't the slightest what happened. Oh no, that sucks. I imagine that makes it that much harder if you don't know why it happened. I thought everything was fine. Yeah. Yeah, it's... For me, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, the hardest thing is, like, when something happens out of the blue and I can't figure out why, it really bugs me. Like, it drives me nuts. But, I mean, hopefully there'll be a silver lining to it. Like, hopefully you'll get an opportunity that you wouldn't have been able to take otherwise, or, like, hopefully something good will come out of it. It drives me up the wall. Yeah, it's the worst when, like... Especially when you think everything is going well and then you're just in a different place. Lesser Dog, hello! Thank you so much for the raid! Let me get you a shout out. Been crushing Monster Hunter, nice! Glad it happened. Those clients were parasites. There you go. Silver lining. Now you're free of that. You don't have to worry about them sucking up your energy anymore. Hopefully this means you can do some things that will make you happier. Revising a pretty good section. 22 new words this sprint. Nice, Bob. Good job. Revising is hard. I've been deep in revisions. I work on 2 projects at the same time and I'm revising both of them right now. So it actually feels nice to just sit here and write something fresh, even though, this is probably very rambly and I don't know how coherent it is, but I'm enjoying it. Palamute Raid, hello, how was your stream? How were your hunts? I know Ghost really enjoys, Monster Hunter Rise. I personally don't like to kill the dragons. I just like to look at them. But I know Ghost really enjoys that game. It was fun. Nice. Oh, nice. What did you think of it, Lesser Dog? I know Ghost was playing on... I think he was playing on Switch, and then he switched over to playing on PC recently. Spent a lot of the day organizing and cleaning and really enjoying it. Nice! Well, I'm glad to hear that, Ashley. Ever since I got medicated, I actually enjoy cleaning. Nice. I can't say personally that I enjoy cleaning, but I enjoy the results of cleaning. Like, if there's clutter, like, I've come to realize how much clutter weighs on me, even in ways that I don't, like, tend to consciously notice. But if I take, like, an hour and clean up, like, a room or clean up the house, it's always just kind of like this weight off my shoulders afterwards. Everything feels fresh and I feel like I breathe easier. So I've learned that, like once a week I just put on a podcast and I just go through the house and I tidy everything up, and afterwards it's like it's so nice to be in the space afterwards. And, like, you guys can kind of see I try to keep my desk a little bit clean too. Throughout the day I usually shove stuff in the corner, and then in the evening I have to go through and clean it out. But it's just so nice to have an organized space. Yeah, enjoy having cleaned. Exactly, Bob. That's exactly what I like. One god named Spiritium created the universe, a very cold and dark universe with no time. Everything is fixed, no movement, just the basic matter. Then a crack appeared. Life went through heat, bubbles of life, such as microbes, spores, etc. 180 million years later, humans are on a planet called Tora. Interesting. So is this your new project, Neo? The one with the goddess of war that you mentioned? It's close enough to World, so I'm having a pretty easy time adjusting, so I'm absolutely in love with it already. Nice! Well, that's awesome, Lesser Dog. I'm glad you're enjoying it. The most important thing is always to have fun. Clutter frustrates me to no end. I hate misplacing things all the time, but when everything is clean and organized, I know where everything is, no exceptions. Exactly! That's what I like, too. And I find that, like, sometimes what happens is, like, throughout the week or whatever, like, if it's a really busy time, I put something aside and I'm like, I'll find a place for that later. And then it kind of keeps happening, and then, like, stuff piles up and it turns into clutter, right? And then I'm like, okay, I need to take time, I need to take 15 minutes, I need to take a half an hour or whatever, and I need to find a place for all these things. And I always feel a lot better after I've, like, reorganized everything. But yeah, sometimes there's something to be said for just, I need this, it's in that drawer. I need this, it's in that cupboard. Exactly. I'm trying to decide, I have a little bit of iced tea left, but I'm trying to decide if I want to make my hot tea now. I probably should make my hot tea now and then do another sprint. Mice in place. Did I say that right? I'm assuming that means, like, a place for everything. Is it mice or micey? I don't know if I'm saying it right. I think I should go put the kettle on, though, because it's a second steep. I have some pumpkin tea that I need to do a second steep of, and it'll take mise en place. Okay, so it is French. I was worried about that because Neo's French, so I'm sorry, Neo. I've just murdered your ears. I always freak myself out when I do French when Neo's around because I know I'm going to do it wrong. I'm assuming that means, like, a place for everything, which is a very satisfying feeling for me. So yeah, I'm gonna pop AFK, I'm gonna go into BRB mode. I can't talk today. Why can't I talk today? Because it's Friday afternoon. And then, once we have hot tea, we'll do another sprint. Everything in its place, yes. A wonderful, wonderful feeling, I find. It's funny, too, because when I was younger, we used to just live in total disorganized, like, chaos, essentially. Like, it would be, like, just shove everything into wherever it fits and whatever, ignore it. Probably because, like, when I first moved out of my parents' home, like, I just didn't want to worry about cleaning or organization or whatever. And then when I started getting into a regular cleaning routine and I started like finding proper places for everything and organizing everything and cleaning up, all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, I'm actually way more comfortable now because everything's not always a mess and I'm not always tripping over these things and I know where to find what I'm looking for. And I don't have to clean up this thing before I do it, before I make use of it because it hasn't been used in a while or whatever. And then suddenly I was like, okay, I understand now. I understand why cleaning is a thing. All right. I will just be one brief moment. Don't go anywhere unless you need to stretch, have a bio break, grab a drink, whatever. I'll be here to chat for about 2 or 3 minutes while the tea steeps, and then once I have the tea, we'll do our second sprint. I'm back. Tea is steaming, and I came up with a plan for the rest of this scene, which I'm really happy about. These humans had so much emotions that it overwhelmed the universe that it created a lot of divinity based on the human emotions. The goddess of war is one of them, but the darkness of the fixed universe remains, and with it, a beast called the Voidwalkers. Ooh, and a war begins in the universe. Is it between divinity and humans versus the Voidwalkers and the god? The god. It's hard to type on a PlayStation? Oh my goodness, Neo. Your English is not terrible. You're totally fine. I couldn't write you a coherent sentence in French. I really couldn't. So you're doing great. I just rush without thinking. I mean, I type without thinking all the time. You're not stupid. Neo, none of that. You're absolutely not stupid. You're very smart. Your ideas prove that. You have very intelligent ideas. You express yourself very clearly in English. I tried to write shuddered in this here while I was typing during the sprint, and I wrote shuttered. So I was trying to write this, and I wrote this. Totally different word. It happens. It happens to everybody. I caught it, luckily. I caught that one. I noticed it as soon as I wrote it. I found plenty of typos when I was editing yesterday. I found plenty of typos of things where I said completely the wrong thing. I don't know if you were there when I was editing on stream yesterday and found a sentence that had a typo in just the right spot, and I had no idea what I was trying to say, and it didn't make any sense. And so I was like, I have to try and figure out what I even meant to say in this paragraph before I can actually fix it, because I just was like, I think that I was trying to indicate that my character like walked into a circle of enemies, but I may have been trying to say that like they were all pointing swords at him and he just walked forward anyway, but the sentence was so mangled that I couldn't tell, so I just kind of had to go with, I had to basically decide what I wanted to go with, because I didn't leave myself any clues. Here again, my internet is horrible. Oh no, Supernatural Raider, I'm sorry to hear that you're having such trouble with your interwebs today. I'm glad that you're hanging out when you can, though. I appreciate it. For anyone who's wondering, finishing up this tea. This was a ginger pear tea. I drank hot yesterday, and then I did a cold steep of it overnight because I knew it wouldn't steep enough otherwise. So I had this with my lunch with a little bit of lemon juice in it, and now I'm steeping up a black tea with pumpkin spice. It's not my best pumpkin spice tea. It's a little bit subpar, but it's pumpkin spice. It tastes fine. I've been going through my tea stash, sort of looking for the teas I've forgotten about, and so I'm drinking some teas I haven't drunk in a while, using up some of my stock of stuff that is just kind of taking up space, because I have a lot of tea now, and I need space, so I'm trying to finish up some of my teas so that I have more space for newer teas, better teas. I try my best, but I swear I always see myself as a failure. Neo, you're not a failure at all. You're amazing. But I get it. I think we're always really hard on ourselves. No one is ever going to be harder on you than you. Like, you're always going to hold yourself to a standard that you would never hold anyone else to. And all I can say is, if somebody handed you the thing, or did the thing, somebody else did the thing that you're saying that you were stupid for doing, would you tell them that they were stupid? Would you criticize them? Or would you say, hey, this is pretty good? If you would praise someone else but are hard on yourself, then don't do that. Treat yourself like you would treat your best friend. That advice has been popping up a lot on the internet lately, and I think it's really good advice, because I tend to be way kinder to my friends than I am to myself. And so I'm trying to be better about that. I'm trying to be more accepting of when I make mistakes. Speaking of, oh my gosh, yesterday I was trying to put a bowl into the dishwasher, which was fairly full. We ended up running it yesterday. So I had eaten soup for lunch, and I had rinsed out the bowl because I put cheese in the bowl. So I always rinse stuff with cheese on it for a little while, or the cheese gets really stuck on and doesn't come off. Hey Mags, how are you? We're just taking a quick break while I brew some tea. Probably a minute or two more, and then we're gonna do some more writing sprints. Yeah, so the bowl was wet, and I bent over to put it into the dishwasher, and it just slipped right out of my hands and fell into the dishwasher area. And I was like, okay, well that's it for that bowl. So I picked it up expecting the worst, and it was fine. The bowl was fine. It survived. I was really shocked and relieved because we don't have that many bowls. Like I feel like when you get like a set of dinnerware, you just get fewer bowls by default. So I was like, phew, okay, it's fine. And I put the bowl in the dishwasher, and then I looked over at what it fell against, because it fell onto, we have like big plates and small plates. It fell onto one of our small plates, and there's a giant chip out of it now. And I was so mad. I was relieved that the bowl didn't break, but we have like 3 small plates with chips in them now. And I was like, oh my god. But it was a total accident. Like, there was nothing I could have done about it. It was sheer dumb luck that the bowl didn't break. We do have more small plates than big plates, so I was just like, whatever, now we have a chipped blue plate and a chipped brown plate. We'll just throw those out. We'll still have an even number of plates. It's the one that we have the most of anyway. It's fine, whatever. But I was just like, oh my god, because I had that moment of like, everything's fine, and then I looked over and saw the chip, and I was like, ah! You can fail, but that doesn't mean you're a failure. Exactly. Failure is actually the road to success. We don't succeed without failing several times along the way. The remains of my childhood, unfortunately, it's stuck in me. Well, I'll tell you what, Neo, I'm gonna always tell you that you're awesome and that you're not a failure, whether or not you believe it, because it's true. And I won't let you say that you're stupid. I won't let anybody say that they're stupid, because none of you, my fine friends, are stupid. You're all fabulous people, wonderfully intelligent, and telling yourself otherwise is a disservice to yourself. I'm that friend who won't let you do negative self-talk. I'll do plenty of negative self-talk to myself, but I'm trying to be better about that. So yeah, I think my tea might be just about ready. Oh gosh, I almost inhaled that tea. That was almost very bad. I don't tell you that you're stupid, Shagraz. I tell you that your taste is weird, but I don't tell you that you're stupid. Don't butter me up too much, I'll start thinking I'm good at writing. You're probably way better at writing than you think. I think we're all better at pretty much everything than we think. But you can't judge your writing ability on your first go at it either, because you're gonna write something, you're gonna have an opinion of it. We talked about this a bit yesterday. You'll have an opinion of what you wrote, and then you'll look at it the next day and you'll have a completely different opinion. So probably it's better than you think it is the first time around. You just need some distance from it. Constantly reminding myself this is still a first draft. Yes. All the first draft has to do is exist. It does not have to be good. That's all. You can fix it all later. First drafts are never pretty. Neo, your stuff is pretty good. My opinion is always, this is for future me to worry about. That's probably the best opinion that you can possibly have, supernatural writer. I have to say, I'm going to go get my tea in a second here, but I have to say, I am about to finish, next week I'm going to finish editing a book on stream, which I'm really excited about. But then I have to do the outline for the book that comes after it, and I'm really worried about it because I expect it to be a huge train wreck. I know that book needs a ton of work. There's a bunch of things that didn't make it in there the first time. The stuff that's in there is kind of weak. And there's a lot of journey of self-discovery that my character is going through. So there's a lot of him literally alone in a jungle, and I'm like, I need to figure out how I'm gonna make this be interesting. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to that, but I'm gonna start tackling that next week. So we'll see. I'm hoping it won't be as bad as I thought it was, because the first part of the book wasn't as bad as I thought. But who knows? It's gonna either be a pleasant surprise or a lot of pain. 1.4k star drops rich right now. Nice. There's lots of stuff to do with those star drops. I am hoping this summer to do some community, like actual community points rewards and stuff, like the big ones that you can do for like the whole channel. So we'll see. I've started brainstorming on that kind of stuff, because I'm gonna have hopefully a little extra time over the summer when Ghost isn't working and my schedule is a little less intensely like deadline focused. And we'll see. Hopefully there'll be more things to use those points on. All right, I'm gonna get the pumpkin tea, and then we're gonna do another sprint. Well, I'm thinking of doing some longer form streams, shagras, like, so maybe a couple 12-hour streams. I don't know that I'd ever do a 24-hour stream, because I think it would actually destroy me, but some longer form streams. And I might ask Joe if I can borrow his idea of doing chat writes a story, because I would be very interested to see what kind of story my chat would write. I know that J Chili's instantly devolve into like not safe for work, so I'll just assume that it's going to be a story about Mattress Chan and Croissant. We get a make Megan say Indiana Jones sucks redeem. No, because Indiana Jones doesn't suck. Indiana Jones, what is it, in the Final Crusade, I think it is like my husband's favorite movie. So, that one's not my favorite, but, like, I don't know why you think Indiana Jones sucks. Just because it's campy and a little bit silly doesn't mean that it sucks. Also, just because he literally holds on to a submarine for, like, however many hours, that doesn't mean that it sucks. I am Elon Musk. Okay, I'll be back with tea. The one with the crystal skulls. The newer one. The one with Shia LaBeouf. Yeah, I mean, not everything has to... I mean, it's like the original Star Trek. Like, no one's gonna sit down and say that it's cinematically or even, like, narratively good. But it makes me happy, it makes me think, and it entertains me. And so just because it's campy and a little bit silly doesn't mean that it's bad. I have no memory of any of the other movies. Alright, I hear Ghost getting home. Let me go grab my tea. Okay, this is not the world's greatest tea, but it'll do. It'll get me through the afternoon. Shagraz, are you still around? Because Ghost has a message for you. My streams always devolve into supernatural talk. Yeah, we always end up on a tea tangent at some point. I'd like to share my things, but I'm on the PlayStation right now, so I can't. Oh, Neo, your stuff, stop! Your stuff is so good. It doesn't have to be super complicated to be good. I like to write short text that describe a moment's emotions. I think you did post one, but it would have been pushed up quite far in the Discord at this point. But yeah, Neo, give yourself some credit. You just started writing, like, this year. You're not necessarily gonna be the next Neil Gaiman in 4 months. Like... Exactly. Listen to Supernatural Writer. Alright. I promised another sprint, so let's do another sprint. I gotta get back in this character's brain spaces. 20 more minutes on the clock. The tea is here! Thank you for the hydrate. It is a pumpkin spice tea. Not my favorite pumpkin spice tea, but it'll do. I have not watched Supernatural. This did come up earlier. I've seen maybe 2 episodes of that show, but I think there are some people in chat who have seen it. I will probably believe anything you tell me about that show because I know next to nothing about it. I know, I'm like, I think I must be one of like 4 people who have never seen that show. Itanchi, hello, how are you? Ah, writing about Supernatural, huh? I never would have guessed from your name, Supernatural writer. Neo, we're together as part of the 4 people who have never seen that show. Doing alright? Got any plans for the weekend, Itanchi? Incognito? Absolutely. Bulletproof identity. Tempest, hello! Add me to not seeing the show. There we go. All 4 of the people who have never seen that show in one place at the same time. Ooh, upgrading PC parts. Bob, you've not seen the show either? Supernatural will have to, Supernatural writer will have to educate us. My screen just turned off. Why am I so alone? No, Supernatural writer, I'm sorry. Have you seen Lucifer? I've seen that show. I haven't actually seen a lot of crime shows, so... Yeah, you'd probably like Lucifer if you like Supernatural. I know they're different, but they deal with some of the same concepts. Hey, Kiki, I'm glad you're still here. Are you working on your book? Had to stop and get something to eat and drink. Breaks are always important. Enjoy your lurk, supernatural writer. Hey, Ghost Pepper. we're at 1,777 words altogether. Where did I start this one? I think I started there. So that was 998 words on that sprint. A bit better than the first one. I basically think there's going to be 2 scenes in this one. So I think the next sprint I'll definitely at least finish the first scene, and then there'll be a small second scene. I know I missed a ton here, so let me scroll way back up here. A bunch of us talking about not seeing Supernatural. It's Anchi, if you're still hanging out. What PC parts are you upgrading? Anything in particular? Sounds like a watch party. Indeed. Indeed. I haven't seen any of the show, so all of it would be new to me. Doesn't have the drama of the later seasons. Haven't seen Lucifer either, Megs. I liked Lucifer. Season 3 wasn't that good, but season 4 was roll good. I thought Lucifer was pretty good for what it was. I mean, they kind of embraced the fact that it was the premise was a little bit silly, so it didn't always take itself too seriously. Lucifer is like a crime show. I think somebody already explained it, but yeah, it's kind of like a comedic crime show. The idea is that the devil has like left hell, and he gets kind of intrigued by this police officer in the LAPD, and so he starts tagging along with her to solve crimes, and it's a romance. There's romance involved. I can tell you a thing about NCIS, another show that I haven't seen. I sacrificed a goat to Lucifer once? Tempest, please tell us more. Personally knows Lucifer and just casually mentions him in chat. Yeah, Neo, how'd you meet Lucifer? Tell us. I'm writing the Bible and the Quran while I read it. Really? Yes. Food and drink, fuel for writing. Breaks are important. Shagraz, Ghost wants you to know that he thinks you suck. Just so you know. Mostly because you don't like Indiana Jones. Ghost is ignoring me or the fact that he's old. He's probably ignoring the fact that he's old. Truth. 132 words. Yes, Bob. Nice. That's like 110 more words than you did the first time. The story is horrible, but I did enjoy the show as an easygoing comedy show. See, I thought the story had good seasons and bad seasons. Season 3 of Lucifer was just a train wreck, but season 4 was pretty good. I liked the story of season 4. I'm not sure. I have kind of mixed feelings about season 6. I'm not sure that the way they ended it made any sense. But it was an interesting show. I mean, you know, again, they didn't take it too seriously. You're not necessarily meant to think it's super serious. I liked the characters. I liked Ella's wardrobe. I would love to have all of her t-shirts. I would like to know where she got her t-shirts so that I can get similar t-shirts. Yeah. But the guy who plays Lucifer was really good. I really liked him. I like his voice. Very good singing voice. I'm at the page 189. Al-Anfal, chapter 9. Is this of the Quran? I've been informed that Ghost wants to eat around 6 o'clock, so I'm gonna take a, like, 2-second break to reheat my tea, and then we're gonna do another... I write it once every week. Are you, like, translating it into French, or are you just, like, copying it out? Tell Ghost to suck it from Shagraz. There you go. Ghost, Shagraz says to suck it. I assume because you like Indiana Jones and he doesn't. Just copying it out. Interesting. Alright, I'm gonna put up Angry Domerin for 1 second to glare at me for not working while I reheat my tea. I'm back. Whoops. I turned off the wrong thing. Ooh, Halo Banshee redeeming a stretch. Perfect timing. Taking care of the streamer. Really appreciate it. Nice. And a hydrate. My goodness. What is happening in chat today? There's just... there's so much banter. Alright. Time for more words. I'm into this scene now, so I wanna get it done. Oh, got another hydrate. Two armed guards attack Domran, but he can't fight back because someone redeemed a hydrate and a stretch. Oh, yeah. Nice, good stretch. I'm gonna stretch my legs, too. Can't see, but nice stretch. Thank you, Tempest. Going to bed, it's 2 a.m. Good night, Neo. Thank you so much for hanging out. Also, I just want to point out that I did not end stream when you got here, unlike some people. Cheers, Neo. Take care. I hope you... Do you have off tomorrow? I hope you enjoy that, too. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Unlike some people, indeed. Some people who are playing DRG and not responding. Alright, end of first scene. I gotta go find what I use for my scene breaks in these, and then I will start the second one. Oh, it's 1 a.m. for you, Megs? Do you normally stay up this late, or is this an extra late night for you? Find one that has a break in it. This one does. This is when I have time to read. Makes sense, Mags. I usually read pretty late at night too, usually between like 11 and 1 myself, so I get it. I really like those like quiet hours when everyone else is sleeping. The writing just flows so much better at these hours for me. I get it, Mags. That used to be how it was for me too. Uh-oh. Did my camera freeze? Uh-oh. Hang on. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no. Hang on. Let's finish this sprint and then I'll fix it. I used to always write at like 1 in the morning as well, but if I kept those hours now, I'd never see my husband, so I've kind of trained myself to write during the day, if that makes sense. I feel like I could write during the day too, but school just takes pretty much the whole day away from me, not classes themselves with the schoolwork. That makes sense. It's good to have time that is set aside for, like, the things that you want to do, though, especially since writing takes so much energy. It feels so weird that my camera is frozen right now. Alright. Sprint's over. Let's see if I can fix my face cam without having to turn off OBS? Question mark? Technical difficulties. Okay. Okay. It might be working now. I'm back! Oh my goodness, that was so hilarious. In my head, writing is always going to be a simple process, but it always turns out to be the opposite. It's so true. I think one of the reasons why writing is so much more complicated than we think it's going to be is that, one, it takes a lot of energy, right? So, especially on a day where you have a lot of ideas, but it turns out that you might be tired, or maybe you did a lot of schoolwork, or, you know, just the job was particularly rough that day, like, that's going to make it more difficult to write. And also, it turns out that translating our mind movies onto paper just doesn't always translate as easily or as smoothly as we want them to. So, like, there's just so many layers to the process. But I think, personally, the best way to be able to get this stuff out is to just write consistently, right? Have a small chunk of time each day that's set aside for writing or trying to write. Do the best that you can during that time and just consistently chip away at it until you're able to get things out, and then you can smooth things over and sort of like a sculptor pulling an image from stone, you can slowly get through things. So yeah, absolutely. If like 1 a.m. is your writing time and that's when the creativity flows and you know, that's the time available to you, go for it. Especially if it's not like taking too much of your other energy, right? Just use wine for mind fuel. I'm out of wine right now, Sag. I prefer rum. Yes, Megs! Rum! What rum do you like? I'm a big fan of... My two favorites right now are Kraken, always Kraken, and Dead Man's Fingers, which is really good. And I also like Bumbu, but I don't drink that very often because that's our expensive one. I used to go for gin, but it's expensive. Yeah. I don't have time. I just make myself write 250 to 1,000 words every day. Hey, I mean, whatever works for you, Tempest. 250 to 1,000 words every day is a really good number of words to write every day. And eventually that adds up to a whole manuscript. Absolutely. I mean, obviously, if all you have is little like chunks of time and you have to fit your writing into that, absolutely. Like, that's what you gotta do. Okay. How many words did I do that sprint? I think it was here. 865, plus I had to try and fix my camera, so not terrible. 2,691 all told. I think maybe one more sprint will bring us to the end of this scene. So... collecting those rejections, soon 6th novel for new rejections. I mean... the heck was that sound? Is that in the music? That was really weird. It sounded like a toilet flushing to me. Did it sound like a toilet flushing to anyone else? Got interrupted, so no new words? No, Bob, I'm so sorry. There's gonna be one more sprint, though, so hopefully that one. I know, it almost sounded like a blurb from, because like my husband has blurps enabled on his stream, but I don't even have blurp installed. So I'm like, was that part of the music? It was giving Shart, not gonna lie. That's what it sounded like to me, Mags. That's exactly what it sounded like to me. And I was like, wait a minute. Was that in the song? Is that just a thing that was in the song? What the heck? Is your husband summoning the devil? I don't know. Can neither confirm nor deny. I don't know what my husband's doing right now. That was so random. I'm so glad I wasn't the only one who noticed it, though, because I was like, wait a minute. Oh, okay. He might be summoning the devil. That explains everything. Literally can't breathe. It was so random. It reminded me of, like, a blurp, but I'm like, I literally had a moment where I was like, how did somebody play a blurp on my stream? I don't have it installed. Bruce Campbell Soup, hello, how are you? I wouldn't be surprised if we find out it was somehow you. Did you summon the devil's fart, Bruce Campbell Soup? Is that what happened? Also, how are you? What are you up to today? Yeah, okay. That was a very interesting moment. I'm gonna have to go back into the VOD and see if I can clip that. Goodness. The thing is, I know it's played this song on stream before. I just don't usually listen to it. The song was called Hell-O. So I don't know. Maybe it was the Devil's Shart. What the hell? I am gonna just do the quick pop AFK one more time. Hopefully my camera won't break this time. I don't know what broke my camera, but I'll be right back. I'm just going to do a quick 40-second reheat of my tea. And then we'll do one more sprint. And we'll hopefully finish this. Ooh, this looks weird. We'll hopefully finish this scene. We mentioned Lucifer once, and this is what happens. He's always listening. He's always listening for his name, isn't he? All right. That just happened. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, my friends. I know I talked a lot. I talked way a lot in the earlier stream, so I know I'm just sort of chaining sprints here, but I talked a lot earlier, and now I finally got my brain working, so it feels like I need to use that brain power before my brain does be like, okay, it's 5:30 on Friday night, we're done now. So let's get one more good sprint in here and see if I can finish this scene in 20 minutes. I think I can. And then I'm gonna cook some delicious stir fry for my husband. That's my reward for finishing this scene. is delicious stir fry. I might have attempted my usual mischievous headset check on Ghost, seeing that the broadcast source was online and it somehow played here. Wait, you did somehow play a blurb on here? What? How did that happen? Oh my god, Bruce Campbell soup! Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay. I have no idea how that worked because I'm not connected to his account in any way. I'm gonna have to like scour my OBS to find out how that happened. That's hilarious. Oh my god. For those that don't know, Bruce Campbell Soup is somewhat infamous for doing jump scares on Ghost before he's even broadcasting. He'll come in like 10 or 15 minutes before we go live and do like a jump scare on Ghost's account.
Hello, Daddy.
Oh my god, how are you doing that? How is this happening? I'm gonna have to turn those off because they are disruptive to the sprints, but holy shit. Only Bruce Campbell Soup could do something like this, I feel. It's his magical power. On Ghost Stream, yeah. Usually they're like skeleton laughs or like loud noises. The intention was to get Ghost. I apologize for catching you in the crossfire. I'm gonna have to find out how it's even playing. I must have something set up on my OBS that was once attached to his account that's still there. That's insane, because I heard the "Oh, Hello Daddy" one as well. That's insane. That's insane. I thought it was just the song. I was like, if I listen to the song again, it's just gonna be in the song. Chill music with a hint of a shart. It didn't really fit the song, and I was just like, wait. You may have a scene on your OBS somewhere that has a blurb enabled and somehow still connected to my profile. I guess. I'm gonna have to check it after stream. Like I said, I'm gonna have to scour my OBS and look for it. That's hilarious. I can't believe Bruce Campbell Soup found a way to play a blurb on my stream. It's so funny. Crime scene on stream. Also hilarious that the reason was because he was hoping he could freak Ghost out. Well, Ghost wasn't streaming. Crime scene on stream, new series, CSOS. I need to go make some tea. I'm getting jealous. I mean, if you need tea, Mags, go grab some tea. There's no worries. This will be my last sprint, sadly, so I will have to leave you after this. But, I'm almost done with my tea. I don't know if you can see. I was like, am I gonna dump it out before I show you the tea? Okay, I know I went a little bit past the sprint there, but I was right at the end. I'm very pleased with this, actually. I remember I started after the second Milord, so that's another 908 words for a total of 3,599. Imagine sprinting extra over time. Shagraz, I just wanted to finish the story. Why even have rules? I mean, they're not rules. It's the sprint timer is there to help. It's not there to, like, force anything. But you just bring on that sass, Shagraz, because you know what? I'm done with all my big work now. I wrote 3,599 words. I'm feeling good about them. I'm really happy with how this scene turned out. I like it. So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think we're gonna look for a raid, because like I said, I thought this was a decent law-abiding stream. It was until Bruce Campbell's Soup figured out how to just blurp me, even though it shouldn't even be possible. I didn't start the chaos, I just embraced it. Really good progress. Thank you. I'm really happy. Another 25 words here, but they're better words, and I deleted some. Nice, Bob. It sounds like you've got some good work done today. I'm excited. I hope everyone who hung out today had fun, maybe got some work in, chilled out, felt good. That's what we're here for. Just looking at who is around. We might drop in on Coffee Quills, because I don't get to do that very often. Just seeing who all's on. Coffee is around, of course, and we also have, I think Raven Wrights is around. He tends to be a bit more chatty, but we can see what he's up to. Chat, let me know if you have any preferences where you want to go head over and hang out. Thank you, thank you. I'm really happy. Considering I had no plan when I started this scene, I'm really happy with how it turned out. It fits pretty perfectly into what my idea was. So, Chef's Kiss. This will eventually go up on my blog. I think the first story of the 22 stories in 2022 is actually going to go up on my blog on Monday, and the VOD for that is on YouTube for anyone who's interested in how it came together. Well, Mags, we'll introduce you to at least one more writing streamer today. The writing community here on Twitch is super awesome. We might pop over to Coffee Quills just because I know Coffee always does sprints as well. So that's a good way to keep things going. I mean, there's lots of awesome writers on Twitch, but I can only raid one of them, right? I usually try to pick, if I'm doing a more chatty stream, I go to a chatty stream. If I've been doing sprints, I usually try to raid someone who's also doing sprints. I will be back Monday afternoon, 2:30 PST, doing more edits for my Aravalia Chronicles, and I think I'm probably going to stream Wednesday morning as well. Not entirely sure what the whole schedule for the week will be, but it'll probably be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll update that schedule that's down below in my About section on Sunday, and I usually release an announcement in the Discord. So if you want to keep up with when I'm streaming, check one of those two places. Also, I usually give a heads up on Twitter when I start, so another good way to catch me. I hope I'll see you Monday as well, Mags. It was nice hanging out with you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bruce Campbell Soup, for somehow amazingly and bizarrely blurping the stream when it shouldn't be possible. I can't get enough of the fact that that happened. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Let me actually start the raid. I'm like, doing my wrap-up spiel. I haven't even actually initiated the raid. Ghost Pepper, if you're listening, please do a shout out for where you're going to be doing D&D tonight. It won't be Winds of Chaos. It's a different D&D campaign, but my husband will be participating if anyone is interested in that. May the shart haunt us all. I'm going to have to go back and clip it because that was just so amazing. There we go. Check out that channel this evening. I think they're going to start at 7:30, so about, an hour and 45 minutes, question mark? Ghost told me about his character. It is a super cool character. That's happening tonight. I will be back Monday. Here are the raid calls for anyone who has the emotes or who does not have the emotes. You can use any emotes in there, though. Super, super cool with anything. Thank you again so much for hanging out. This was so much fun. I was worried at the beginning that I was just gonna be fighting my brain the whole time because I was like excited to stream but not necessarily excited to write. And I just feel like this was super fun and super productive despite some sass in the chat. So that was great. Good luck in all your endeavors, friends. I can't wait to share more writing with you next week. I'm gonna hit that raid now button, so take care.